You're listening to Don't IEP Alone with Special Education Advocate Lisa Lightner. For more information about Lisa, the IEP Toolkit, and more ways we can help you in your process, go to adayinourshoes.com. Now back to the show with your host, Lisa.
Hey there, and good morning. It's Lisa Lightner here from Don't IEP Alone podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, okay, so here we are. Listen, I send out email. I have an email list, of course, and I send out a lot of email, actually, just because I have so much great IEP information I want to share with everybody. But I send out, it's a new-ish thing that I've started within the past year, as far as my Sunday night emails. And my Sunday night emails are not the how-tos, not the, hey, here's how you request this, and here's how you prepare for this, and all that other stuff. It's more about things that happened to me that week, or sometimes I dig back a little bit deeper and kind of like that big life lesson the big life lesson to take away or something like that. And once in a while, like I'm going to say once a month, like I send out an email like that, and like I get so many replies, and they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I needed to hear this week. I needed to hear this. So, yeah. So this past Sunday, I was just relating an anecdote, series of events that happened to me. And as it happened on Thursday afternoon, I had to do this whole thing. Like one day every October, I take the day off and I go down to the Amish produce auction and I buy a lot of pumpkins. And I mean quite literally a lot. Sometimes there's 25 pumpkins in the lot, sometimes 50. And I get them for super, super cheap compared to what the grocery stores charge you, because I'm willing to, of course, sit at an auction all morning. And so anyway, so I did that, and these pumpkins were huge. They were, I don't even know, but they were very heavy. They were big pumpkins. And I take them up to Kevin's school. And this started, I don't even know how many years ago, because they were getting pumpkins just like at the grocery store or something. And I was like, oh my God, you can't be spending that much on all these pumpkins. I can get them for so much cheaper. Please let me do it as a donation. And so a little tradition was born. So first of all, Thursday morning, I did that. And it's kind of like a lot of work, because you have to go to the auction, and then you have to wait, and you bid on a couple of lots before you finally win one. Because the lot size, I'm not going to bid on a lot of 100 pumpkins, because what the hell would I do with 100 pumpkins, or where would I put them? So you have to do all that. Then I have to load them into my car myself, and they were quite heavy. Then drive them up to the school, load them onto the front porch. So anyway, I did all that, and then while I was in Downingtown, I was like, okay, cool, I'm near a BJ's. There are a few things I need there. And while I was poking around BJ's, I get this call, and they had asked if I would speak at one of the rallies on Saturday. So of course, we were predicting beautiful weather. It's something I wanted to be involved with, so I was like, yeah, of course I'll do it. Then went about my business, carried all that stuff home. And I get home and I realize that, yikes, we have a scheduling conflict on Saturday. And really the only way that I could go on Saturday is if I brought Kevin with me. And lately, because of seizures and behaviors, it's just kind of really unpredictable. So, my brain processes things. I'm actually like a hyper processor. I'm not a slow processor. I process things very, very quickly, and I go into like a bazillion different scenarios before most people feet have touched the ground. So I'm going through all these different things. Like, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I ask this person? Can I ask that person? And then I thought about my friend and my cousin, who I was supposed to be going to this event with, and they love Kevin, they care about Kevin, But caring about Kevin and caring for Kevin are two different worlds entirely. And it was like, okay, can I train them how to manage him while I'm speaking if I'm up on stage and this happens? So anyway, like, it just kind of hit me, like, oh, and also Friday morning, I had an IEP meeting for a client. So I had all of that to deal with. And this one was a pretty big deal because we had a manifestation hearing just a few days ago. And as you know, part of the process of the manifestation hearing is, depending on the outcome of the manifestation hearing, you move right into an IEP meeting. However, we decided in the essence of time to table it a little bit because we just were running out of time for a full IEP meeting. So I had all of that, and I'm like hyper processing, and I was just like, it just kind of hit me. And I was on Friday, and I was like, no, just no. Like, at a certain point, for as much energy as I have, for as much enthusiasm and passion and drive that I have, at a certain point, I'm spent. And I didn't have it in me to find a caregiver and to train a caregiver, and I would still have to write a speech, and I still had this IEP meeting, which I would have to do, like a recap, and all that. So while I'm just processing all the different scenarios and commitments and responsibilities that I have, like I said, I was just like, no, I am done. And I am sorry that the timing is poor. And I am sorry that I was basically giving these folks about 24 hours notice to let them know that I wouldn't be speaking on Saturday. And I am sorry that, this was supposed to be like the biggest rally ever across the nation. And it was something I really wanted to be a part of. And, of course I had to text my cousin and my friend, and I was like, look, I'm not even going. Like, it's not even that I'm not speaking. Like, I'm just not going. Like, it was just like I hit a wall. Can't pour from an empty cup, right? And, we can't feign that we have it in us sometimes when we don't. And especially, I find, as I get older, and I don't know if it's just the age thing or if it's just that age and experience gives you different perspective. But, I said no. I didn't feel the least bit guilty about it. I did what I needed to do on Saturday as far as doing a couple of things. I still walked with my neighbor like I do. Took care of a few other things and just, actually another thing that I had done on Saturday or at the auction was I bought a 25-pound box of tomatoes, and 25 pounds of tomatoes is something to behold. So it was this giant box of tomatoes, and I made a lot of sauce. And it was just kind of like what I needed to do, kind of like digging in with my hands and doing something with my hands that didn't require so much brain power. So I want to encourage you to say no when you need to and not feel guilty about it, because when I sent out that email, I just got so many emails that were like, thank you, I needed to hear that this week. I think people are just stretched really thin. I had a Zoom meeting the other night, and somebody had gave an idea, and I had just said that my other son's school team, whatever, had tried it and it didn't work. And she just really took offense to that, and I said, no, I'm not being mean. I'm just telling you that, this was a basketball team, and a basketball team only has 10 or 12 kids on it. And if you don't have a lot of kids to participate, it's not going to be successful. It's a fundraiser. Anyway, I literally found out later that day that she had unfriended me on Facebook over that. And I'm just like, I think people are just in a weird kind of space, where they're reaching that breaking point. They're reaching that end all be all of, I can't take this for one more minute, and this is I need to exercise some control over something. So Anyway, just yesterday I had someone unsubscribe from my emails. And it was just, the email was pretty benign about being a better advocate. And like, this person was just like, I'm unsubscribing and this is why, because you're a terrible person and you're creating problems where there aren't any and you're making this whole process so negative and all that. And like, and I get emails like that every once in a while, or comments on Facebook. But I'm just like, listen, everybody just needs to like touch some grass or say no, or, use that sick day if you have it, or something to just kind of have that day where you lay on the couch and do nothing. I can't even say like watch stuff, because we gave up everything. We only have a TV antenna, so we don't have that many choices. But yeah, so take it easy on yourselves. Just remember that everybody's kind of going through it right now. So please keep that in mind when reaching out to teachers and staff and anyone. I'm scheduling appointments and I'm getting kind of like, well, you didn't send us this. And I got to do a whole thing at the pharmacy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like everybody's just kind of going through it right now. So we will get through it. As someone asked me, well, what do? You have a lot on your plate. Well, I say no when I need to. And honestly, sometimes it's a little too late, but I did say no. But a lot of times I just think of my grandmother who raised me, and, she was a teenager and young adult during the Great Depression. And then in World War II, in World War I, my great-grandfather went off to war. And then in World War II, her husband, my grandfather, went off to war, and, she was at home with a toddler at the time. So just thinking that, women have been through it before and we'll get through it again. Just keep getting up each day and putting one foot in front of the other. But also remember, when you create space in your life, don't just think of it as canceling something, because I was incredibly disappointed to have canceled that speaking engagement last Saturday. But then, as it turned out, on Monday, I got an invitation to come down to Washington and testify before a congressional committee. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And if I had done everything that I was supposed to do on Friday and Saturday, I really would not have been able to go to DC on Wednesday. I would have just been so fried, right? So anyway, as it turned out, that got canceled. There was, I guess, a hope or, a thought that these folks would be back in Congress doing these kinds of things, and that did not happen. But even as that did not happen, it turned out that my Congresswoman's office, I am in Pennsylvania, District 6, my Congresswoman, their office reached out to me about some things, and they are going to go visit Kevin's school. And we're going to talk about some things there. So, again, I may have canceled some opportunities or not taken advantage of some opportunities, but other opportunities were there to fill the gap. So, anyway, listen, have a great rest of your day. Please enjoy this fall weather. Please take a moment to look at the skies. There are meteor showers this week, I believe. So take a look at those and be reminded of, we all only have this one life, and we are such small people in the big scheme of things, and we will get through this too. And Don't IEP Alone. Oh my God. Your IEP playbook is now available wherever books are sold, so please order it if you haven't already. Thanks for tuning in, and I promise I will be less unhinged, and I do have actual topics to talk about as we head into the rest of the fall. It's just, like I said, still a little fried, and regrouping, but back on track next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Don't IEP Alone with special education advocate Lisa Lightner. We're so glad you've joined us and would love to connect with you outside of the show. For more information about Lisa, the IEP Toolkit, and more ways we can help you in your process, go to adayinourshoes.com. From self-care tips to common IEP mistakes, there's even more to explore. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast and subscribe to never miss an episode. Until next time, don't IEP alone, and you don't have to.